Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel if you are new. Hello, my name is V. I post nail tutorials every Thursday and Sunday at 8:15 a.m. Central Time. Getting right into today's video, I am going to be placing my tips onto my practice hand. These are the universal tips from Not Polish, faux sculpted, pre-shaped in the stiletto shape. And I am using my Young Nails brush on glue to apply these tips. These do not have a well. I feel like I've been getting that question quite a bit. But all you have to do is make sure you just apply the very tip of that nail. You do not need a lot of that adhered onto the natural nail. They actually suggest and recommend you apply it at the very tip so that there's not a lot of that plastic tip covering the natural nail. I'm just using my craft scissors to cut off the excess. I am doing these a little bit shorter than what you guys are used to seeing on my channel. I feel like changing it up a little bit. I know they're still long, but they are definitely shorter than what you guys are used to. And now I'm going in and filing the sides, just making sure that the shape is nice and perfect, making sure that the sides are nice and flush to the natural nail. Doing so, I am using my Tammy Taylor peel and stick file. And I'm just filing that into perfection, trying to get it as nice as possible so that my acrylic application goes on smoothly. Now, getting right into our acrylic application, I am using Lamborghini Chick from Not Polish. This is such a pretty blue, and I feel like it would be perfect for the set that I'm trying to portray in today's video. For this video, I am using the acrylic brush from Not Polish along with their monomer. Now, I'm just placing a little bit on the tip to use that as my base layer, and then I start layering on these really pretty kind of mermaid fish scales inspired glitter. It's so pretty. I felt like both colors matched perfectly and they went really well together. So I'm going ahead and just taking my brush and spreading them out. I'm not perfectly placing them on there. I'm basically spreading them out into an even layer, and I'm kind of staggering the little chunks of glitter so that it covers the entire nail. And then I'm going to be placing a little bit more acrylic just above that first bead that I placed. I'm not overlapping it very much. I'm just covering that base so that I can adhere more glitter. I'm going to be doing this full design on to the pinky now. So I'm just patting that into place, getting it nice and thin, and then going right into applying my glitters. Now, this glitter is from Profiles Backstage. If you are familiar with my channel, you will note that I love their glitter mixes. They are perfect, and you can find so many different varieties of glitters for every holiday, every season. You will not be disappointed, and they're very inexpensive. So this one is called Mermaid Teal, and I absolutely love it. The name is so cute as well. Again, I'm just layering that on after I apply a little bit more acrylic. I wanted there to be a nice blue base so that you can really see the detail of the glitter once I placed it over top. They are pretty see-through, so if you want to get this same effect, definitely recommend adding a color underneath. Now for our ring finger, I'm kind of just adding tons of colors on there and textures and stuff to give it a little bit of an extra pop to the design. So I am adding Beauty Mark, which is a lighter version of that first blue that I used, which pairs so well together. And I'm just applying that randomly on kind of diagonally. And then I'm actually adding this pre-mixed glitter with acrylic. It comes like that from Profiles Backstage. It's called Celestial. Definitely love it, and I felt like the colors went so well with this design as well. Now I'm taking a little bit of Priority from Not Polish. Such a pretty light, subtle gray. And I thought these two colors would be paired so well together, so I figured I would try it. You guys know I like my nude, and I'm staying away from it for this set. And I'm just adding a little bit more of that Mermaid Teal loose glitter and applying that in the tip. I figured this would kind of go really well with the fish kind of water inspired design that I'm going for. I'm just adding a little bit more of that celestial to kind of tie everything in together. Now for our middle finger, I'm taking priority once again, and I'm just going to be using that to fully cover that nail. So I start with a medium-sized bead of acrylic in the middle section, start dragging it down. I like to pat it into place very well. I do like using my acrylics in very thin layers, and then I use clear to build up the thickness. So always keep that in mind. I'm just adding a little bit more in that middle section as I felt like I could cover that tip a little bit better. And then I start working my way up towards the cuticle area with smaller beads. I feel like you get thinner layers, which is exactly what I'm aiming for. Consistently cleaning the sides, making sure that I am holding the finger in a downward position. I'm gonna start applying my cuticle bead and then gently blend it down. And I continue to pat it into place, making sure that everything is nice and smooth. You want to work with very, very light pressure when moving the product around, because not polished powders are so buttery and they do very well on their own. They self-level and they basically do a lot of the work for you, so you don't have to mess with them so much. Now for the index finger, we're starting off with one of the blues, and I'm just applying that as my base. And then I'm going to be layering on that Mermaid Teal glitter. And I'm actually doing it a little bit different than the ring finger, but they tie in so well and they basically look like the same nail once I get done with it. So I'm just patting that into that wet base. And then I'm actually ombreing priority into that. And then later on, I'm gonna go in with that celestial glitter mix and adding that to the center, which ties it in perfectly to the ring finger. Again, very light pressure when working with the acrylic and very small beads, as I want to make sure that it's nice and thin. Especially when encapsulating glitters, you want to make sure that your base is thin so that when you go in and encapsulate, the nail's not super chunky. I'm going in with clear from Not Polish, and I'm going to be encapsulating these nails. I am just applying that very generously over top, and you want to make sure you really press it into that glitter, as it will prevent any air bubbles from forming in between the glitter and the clear acrylic. You definitely want it to look flawless. So you want to make sure you're really pressing it into any crease, any little dents, any little texture that you might have on that nail, which when working with glitter, you definitely get tons of texture. And then I'm just building up the thickness as best as I would like. Because this is a practice hand, I do not build up any apex, and I don't really focus on them being super thick, as I just want to show you guys the design. Now I'm going to continue my encapsulation process on the rest of the nails, basically just using my acrylic application process as I usually do, cleaning up the sides and patting it into place.
I'm sorry, my actions, they haunt me, and I'll never live it down. I'm no good at being good, but I never said I was. You call my bluff, I won't pick up, I let it ring. Record your voice so I can listen back again. And I'm sorry I'm not perfect, but I knew that I wouldn't be. I guess it's for the best, you know the worst in me. I'm no good at being good, but I never said I was. And I feel misunderstood, cause I'm trying hard to love. I'm sorry, my actions, they haunt me, and I'll never live it down. I'm no good at being good, but I never said I was. So do you wanna take me back? All of our broken plans, so we can start again. Wanting down a second chance, I'm too selfish for that. I let you fall again, now that you know that. I'm no good at being good, but I never said I was. sorry, my actions, they haunt me, and I'll never live it down. I'm no good at being good, but I never said I was.
Once I'm done applying that and everything is nice and dry, I am going in with my Kiara Sky rechargeable e-file. Along with that, I'm using their 5-in-1 bit. This one is medium grit in the color silver. Absolutely love, and I talk about their bits all the time. Highly recommend this one if you are looking for a good 5-in-1 bit. I'm just going around the cuticle area and then going vertically up and down in one direction. So I like to do a downward motion, continuously lifting my e-file from the nail. You do not want it to heat spike, and if you go over it multiple times back and forth, you will heat spike, and you definitely want to avoid that. I'm just going ahead and filing the nails, making sure that they are nice and smooth. Now I am going for the Pisces inspired Zodiac nail art. So I figured I would do all this like fish scales, blues, definitely mermaid vibes. And I originally wanted to just leave them simple without adding in the symbol for the sign and anything like that. But I figured you guys would appreciate a little bit more if I added a little bit more into it. So you're gonna be seeing me add little cute touches to this design as well. Now, once I'm done filing the surface of the nail, I am taking my Tammy Taylor peeling stick file once again, filing the sides, making sure that everything is nice and perfect. I start with the sides, continue to move from right to left to right, so that I don't over file one side or the other. Now, if it is a little bit lopsided, you obviously want to focus on the side that's a little bit thicker to try to even it out. But I try to get my stuff on there nice and perfect since the beginning, so I don't have to do tons of filing towards the end. Now I'm flipping the hand around to look at the nails from the client's perspective, and then I go in and file the tip. This is at the point where you want to look at the nails from every angle possible. Sometimes you'll be able to catch a mistake from a different angle, so make sure you guys are turning the hand around and looking at them from this perspective. Now, once I'm done with my hand file, I'm moving on to my buffer. This is from Profiles Backstage. Super fine, so it blends everything very nicely. Especially if you're doing nail art, do not skip this step. I am buffing the nail very well, using a good amount of pressure while doing this step. Now, using a lint-free wipe and some swipe, I am cleaning the surface of the nail. I'm scrubbing it very well, and then I start cleaning the surface of the practice hand as well. It gets very dusty, so I make sure I use that same wipe with the same product, and I just go over it gently, and it removes the majority of that dust. Now, moving on to our nail art, I am taking the jewelry gel from Not Polish. I'm actually using the one in a tube. I've been using the one in the pot, but I figured I would try this one since they did send it to me, and I love that it is so compact and I could just squeeze it right onto the nail without having to dig it out with something. So I'm just placing that in the area that I want to place my jewels on, and then I clean it off very gently just with a lint-free wipe. Now I'm applying my crystals. I decided to use different colors of blue for this set. I'm gonna be doing like a slanted, chunky crystal design. So I'm just layering them on there, filling in any naked spaces with whatever size fits perfectly, and then adding these huge crystals on there to really give the birthday vibes kind of feel. So I'm just making sure that I'm pressing it firmly into that jewelry gel. And I am just using a wax pencil from Profiles Backstage. I love these for crystal application. Again, I'm just infilling any little areas and adding some more chunky crystals. I'm just adding a little bit more, and then I'm gonna be placing it in the light for a full minute. I wanna make sure they are stuck on there very, very well. Okay, so I'm not quite sure what happened, but I was not recording when I applied the decals, and normally I'll just take them off, redo it. However, I didn't have a second set of these decals, so you guys will not see me applying them, but you guys can see them placed on there here. I just took the two little fishes, applied it on the ring finger, and then the Pisces symbol onto the index finger. I'm so sorry, but you basically just peel them off of the little paper it comes on, place them onto wherever the nail you want to place it, firmly press it in, and then you go ahead and top coat, and they will stay on there very, very well. Now, I was originally gonna do these shiny because I always do matte, but when I placed the top coat on there and I saw how much it kind of camouflaged that glitter, I was like, you know what, I'm sorry, I need to do matte. So I am using Matte from Not Polish and applying that over the surface of the nail. I'm making sure that I'm covering everything, specifically those ones with the decals. You want to make sure every part of that decal is under that top coat so that they stay on there the entire time. And then when going around crystals, make sure you do not apply any top coat on the crystals, as it will remove the shine, and you definitely do not want to do that. And then you're going to go ahead and place it in the light for a full minute. I like to do 2 just to be safe. I am sharing with you guys a little snippet of what they would look like if I left them shiny. So you guys can kind of see how it kind of camouflages a lot of that detail, and I really wanted to bring out those scales, and I definitely wanted to get a good picture of that nail art. So I went ahead and placed it in the light, and now you'll be able to see what they look like matte. But that basically concludes today's video. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Happy birthday to all my Pisces babies. I'll catch you guys later.